Hello everyone, this is Asra Sultana, Assistant Professor in EEE Department working in ISL Engineering College. So previous classes we have seen about the hunting and its prevention and power circle diagram. Today's class we are going to see about the various methods of starting of synchronous motor and methods of synchronizing of synchronous motor or synchronous machine. So synchronous motors run at synchronous speed. We all know that. Okay. Synchronous speed of the motor will depend on the supply frequency and the number of poles in the motor. And the synchronous speed is given by Ns is equal to 120 F by P, where F is the supply frequency and P is the number of poles. So we can change the synchronous speed of the motor by changing the supply frequency and the number of poles. Okay, we can control or we can change the speed of the motor by changing the frequency and number of poles because synchronous speed is given by 120 F by P. So we can see that here synchronous speed is directly proportional to frequency, supply frequency, and inversely proportional to number of poles. So, by increasing or decreasing the value of frequency and number of poles, we can increase or decrease the value of the speed of the synchronous motor. But the motor will always run with this speed for a given supply frequency and number of poles. Synchronous motors have lots of advantages, but being non-self-starting, unlike three-phase induction motor, it is a major disadvantage. So we have seen in the previous classes why synchronous motor is not self-starting. So this is a major disadvantage of synchronous motor, that it is not self-starting. Whereas the three-phase induction motor is self-starting. So in synchronous motor, the stator has three-phase windings and is excited by three-phase supply, whereas the rotor is excited by DC supply. We know this one, okay? In the diagram construction of a synchronous motor, there I have shown you that stator is given the three-phase supply and rotor is given a DC supply. And the three-phase windings provide rotating flux, whereas DC supply will provide a constant flux. So, rotating magnetic field will be produced by the three-phase windings, and three-phase supply will be given to the stator of the synchronous motor, and rotating magnetic field is produced, or the flux is rotating, we can say. Whereas the flux which is produced by DC supply is a constant flux. So the torque produced on the rotor is a pulsating one and not unidirectional. So considering the frequency to be 50 Hz, so from the above relation, we can see that three-phase rotating flux rotate about 3000 revolutions in 1 minute or 50 revolutions in 1 second. So at a particular instant, rotor and stator poles might be of the same polarity, that is north-north or south-south, causing a repulsive force on the rotor, and the very next second it will be north-south, causing an attractive force. So already we have seen the reason for synchronous motor to be a not self-starting machine, because of this reason that at particular instant stator and rotor poles can be of the same polarity, and in the next second they will be having a opposite polarity. So same polarity will cause a repulsive force and the opposite polarity will cause an attractive force. So due to the inertia of the rotor, it is unable to rotate in any direction due to attractive or repulsive force, and it will remain in standstill condition. So attractive and repulsive forces will cancel each other and the motor will remain in the standstill condition. So due to this, the motor cannot start on its own, and the rotor of the synchronous motor has to be brought to synchronous speed by using some external means. Okay. So by using some external means, we are going to start the rotor of the synchronous motor, and it has to run with a synchronous speed. So below are the techniques which is used for the starting of a synchronous motor. First one is starting a synchronous motor using an induction motor. Second one, starting a synchronous motor using a DC machine. And third one, starting a synchronous motor using damper windings. Fourth one, starting a synchronous motor using slip ring induction motor. So these are the four starting techniques which can be used to start a synchronous motor. Let us see the first technique, that is starting a synchronous motor using an induction motor. So we need to bring the rotor of the synchronous motor to synchronous speed before we switch on the motor. So what we are doing here, we are bringing the rotor of the synchronous motor to the synchronous speed. As we are giving a separate DC supply to the rotor of the synchronous motor, we can adjust the speed to be a synchronous speed. So for that reason, we directly couple a small induction motor or a pony motor with a synchronous motor. So here we have to note a point that number of poles of the induction motor should be less than the synchronous motor, else it will never be able to achieve the synchronous speed of the synchronous motor. Okay. So what we have to note down here, a point that the number of poles of the induction motor should be less than the synchronous motor, because if it does not happen, then it will never be able to achieve the synchronous speed of the synchronous motor. This is because an induction motor always has a speed less than the synchronous speed, and for it to become equal to the synchronous speed of the synchronous motor, its own speed has to be increased. Okay. Why? Because induction motor will always have a speed less than synchronous speed. This already we know it. In the previous classes we have seen when we studied about induction motor, that induction motor will never run at synchronous speed, because speed of rotating magnetic field, that is Ns, is always greater than the speed of the rotor. So induction motor always has a speed less than the synchronous speed, and for it to become equal to the synchronous speed of the synchronous motor, its own speed has to be increased. So after the rotor of the synchronous motor is brought to the synchronous speed, we switch on the DC supply to the rotor. After that, we simply decouple the induction motor from the synchronous motor shaft. Okay. Once we achieve the target, that is when we switching on the when we are running the rotor of the synchronous motor with the synchronous speed by switching on the DC supply. After that, we decouple the induction motor from the synchronous motor shaft. Now our synchronous motor will not be coupled with the induction motor. Okay. Now it is only used in the start only. Okay. Now second one, starting a synchronous motor using a DC machine. It is similar to this method where we are using an induction motor to start the synchronous motor, with a slight difference between the two. A DC machine is coupled to the synchronous motor here, and DC machine will work like a DC motor initially and brings the synchronous motor to synchronous speed. So after achieving the synchronous speed, DC machine will work like a DC generator, and it will supply DC to the rotor of the synchronous motor. Okay, so there is a small change here, that initially first step is same here, that is DC machine is coupled to the synchronous motor, and the synchronous motor will be running at a synchronous speed. So after achieving the synchronous speed, this machine which was working as a motor will now become a DC generator, and it will supply the DC to the rotor of the synchronous motor. So this method will offer easy starting and better efficiency than the earlier method. Third one, starting a synchronous motor using damper windings. In this method, motor is first started as an induction motor, and then it will start running as a synchronous motor after achieving synchronous speed. So for this, damping windings are required or used. So damper windings are additional windings consisting of copper bars placed in the slots in the pole faces. The ends of the copper bars are short circuited. These windings behave as a rotor of an induction motor. So when a three-phase power is supplied to the motor, motor will start running as an induction motor at a speed below synchronous speed. After some time, DC supply is given to the rotor. So motor will get pulled into the synchronism after some instant and starts running as a synchronous motor. So whenever the motor is reaching the synchronous speed, there will be no induced EMF in the damper windings anymore, and hence they don't have any effect on the working of the motor. So this is the most commonly used technique for starting synchronous motor. So we are using damper windings usually to start the synchronous motor. Fourth method, starting a synchronous motor using slip ring induction motor. So here we connect one external rheostat in series with the rotor, and the motor is first started as a slip ring induction motor. Then the resistance is gradually cut off as the motor gains speed. When it achieves speed nearer to the synchronous speed, DC excitation is given to the rotor and it is pulled into synchronism. Then it starts rotating as a synchronous motor. Okay. So I hope the methods of starting of synchronous motor is clear to everyone. Now let us see what are the various methods of synchronizing a synchronous motor. So what is synchronization? Already we have seen when we have studied about synchronous generator or alternators. Okay, so same machine, that is whether it is generator or motor, we are doing the synchronization, and it can be similar. Okay, similar for both generator and motor. Synchronous generator and synchronous motor. So synchronization is a method of alternators or synchronous motors which is connected to the power grid. So we are going to discuss the necessary steps which take into synchronize synchronous motors or synchronous generators. Okay. There are specific methods used to get synchronize the synchronous motor or synchronous generator to the grid. So we are giving the parallel connection to the synchronous motor or synchronous generator with the grid. So there are several things to get considered while synchronization of this synchronous motor and generator. Following are the necessary steps to consider while synchronization of such machines. So how to synchronize synchronous motors? So the important things in parallel operation of synchronous motors are the synchronization and real power sharing. Before the breaker is closed, we must ensure that the new generator compares to the system has the following features. So what are the machines which are running in parallel should have the following features, that is same RMS voltage, same frequency, same phase sequence and same instantaneous phase position. Okay, so whenever we are connecting two machines in parallel, okay, or in synchronization, then they have to have the following features, that is same RMS voltage, same frequency, same phase sequence and same instantaneous phase position. So the special equipment calls the synchronous scope can perform all this necessary action and close the breaker automatically. So there is a synchronous scope which can perform all the necessary action and will close the circuit breaker automatically. If necessary, we can use the manual mode of the synchronous copy to close the manual. Also possible is a simple 3-lap arrangement to perform synchronization, and this is suited for the parallel standby generators. It uses the same principle of synchronizing. So what is synchronizing power? Okay, we are now going to study what is synchronizing power and what is the torque coefficient. So synchronizing power is defined as the varying of the synchronous power on varying in the load angle delta. That is, whenever there is a load angle is varied, whatever is the synchronous power, that is called as synchronizing power. Varying of the synchronous power on varying the load angle is called as synchronizing power. It is also called as stiffness of coupling, stability or rigidity factor. It is represented by PSYN, okay, like this. PSYN. A synchronous machine, whether a generator or a motor, when synchronized to infinite bus bars, has an inherent tendency to remain in synchronism. So let us consider an asynchronous generator transferring a steady power PA at a steady load angle delta naught. Suppose that due to a transient disturbance, the rotor of the generator accelerates, resulting from an increase in the load angle by d delta. So now the operating point of the machine will shift to a new constant power line and the load on the machine increases to PA plus delta P. The steady power input of the machine does not change and the additional load which is added decreases the speed of the machine and brings it back to synchronism. Similarly, if due to a transient disturbance the rotor of the machine retards resulting a decrease in the load angle, then operating point of the machine will shift to a new constant power line and the load on the machine will decrease to PA minus delta P. Since the input remains unchanged, the reduction in load will accelerate the rotor. Machine again comes in synchronism. The effectiveness of this correcting action depends on the change in power transfer for a given change in load angle. The measure of effectiveness is given by synchronizing power coefficient. P sin is equal to dP by d delta. So power output per phase of the cylindrical rotor generator, P is equal to V by Zs, EF cos theta Z minus delta minus V cos theta Z, or P sin is equal to dP by d delta, that is VEF by Zs sin theta Z minus delta. The synchronizing torque coefficient is given by T synchronous is equal to T sin is equal to d tau by d delta, that is 1 by 2 pi ns dP by d delta, or T sin is equal to VEF by 2 pi ns Zs sin of theta Z minus delta. So in many synchronous machines, Xs is very more or greater than R. So for a cylindrical rotor machine, neglecting saturation and stator resistance, equation 3 and 5 now becomes P sin is equal to VEF by Xs cos delta and T sin is equal to VEF by 2 pi ns excess cos delta. Now, for a silent pole machine, P is given as VEF by XS sin delta plus half V square 1 by XD minus 1 by XQ sin 2 delta, and P sin is equal to VEF by XS cos delta plus V square 1 by XD minus 1 by XQ cos 2 delta. Unit of synchronizing power coefficient P sin. Okay. So now let us see the synchronizing power coefficient, which is expressed in watts per electrical radian. So P sin 1 is equal to VEF by XS cos delta. Uh, and when pi is equal to pi radians is equal to 180 degrees, or 1 radian is equal to 180 by pi degrees. P sin 2 can be written as dp by d delta w by 180 by pi degrees, or P sin 2 is equal to dp by d delta pi by 180 degrees w per electrical degrees, watts per electrical degrees. So here we have seen that it was watt per electrical radian. Now we are converted into electrical degrees, watt per electrical degrees. If P is the total number of pair of poles of the machine, then theta electrical is equal to P into theta mechanical. Synchronizing power coefficient per mechanical radian is given by the equation shown below, that is P sin 3 is equal to P dP by d delta watt, and synchronizing power coefficient per mechanical degree is given as P sin 4 is equal to P pi by 180 dP by d delta in watt. Now let us see synchronizing torque coefficient. Synchronizing torque coefficient gives rise to the synchronizing torque coefficient at synchronous speeds. That is, the synchronizing torque is the torque which at synchronous speed gives the synchronizing power. If T sin is the synchronizing torque coefficient, then the equation is given below, that is T sin is equal to 1 by S m dP by d delta Newton meter per electrical radian, or if you have to convert into mechanical radian, then T sin is equal to 1 by omega S m dP by d delta P pi by 180 Newton meter per mechanical radian, where m is the number of phases of the machine and omega S is equal to 2 pi ns. Ns is the synchronous speed in revolution per second, and T sin is equal to P sin by omega S, that is P sin by 2 pi ns. Let us see the significance of synchronous power coefficient. Synchronous power coefficient is a measure of the stiffness between the rotor and the stator coupling. A large value of P sin indicates that the coupling is stiff or rigid. Too rigid a coupling means, and the machine will be subjected to shock with the change of load or supply. These shocks may damage the rotor or the windings. So we have P sin is equal to 3V EF by XS cos delta, and T sin is equal to 3 by 2 pi ns VES by XS cos delta. So above two equations show that P sin is inversely proportional to the synchronous reactance, and machine with air gaps, large air gaps have relatively small reactance. The synchronous machine with a larger air gap is stiffer than a machine with a smaller air gap. Since P sin is directly proportional to EF, an overexcited machine is stiffer than an underexcited machine. The restoring action is great when delta is equal to 0, that is at no load. When the value of delta is plus or minus 90 degrees, the restoring action is 0. At this condition, machine is unstable equilibrium and at steady state limit of stability. Therefore, it is impossible to run a machine at the steady state limit, since its ability to resist small changes is 0 unless the machine is provided with the special fast acting excitation system. Thank you everyone. I hope today's video is clear to everyone. Thank you everyone for watching the video.